All right, let's get right into it. We've all been there, right? Stuck in one of those arguments where things just get hotter and hotter, voices get louder, and in the end, nobody really wins. But what if the most powerful thing you could do in that moment is something so unexpected it changes the entire game? Today, we're going to dig into the philosophy of Alan Watts to understand how silence can actually be your greatest weapon.
I mean, that's a pretty bold statement, isn't it? It completely flips the script on what we normally think of as strength in a confrontation. This idea that silence can be, well, genuinely terrifying, that's a profound concept, and it's the absolute core of what we're going to unpack.
It just feels completely backwards, doesn't it? Our instincts, our gut, everything is screaming at us to fight back, to match their energy with our energy. So how on earth can strategic inaction, literally doing nothing at all, become the ultimate power move? That's the big question we're going to answer.
So, where do we usually go wrong? Well, it all starts with this fundamental mistake that most of us make without even thinking about it. You can call it the aggression trap, and it's built on our most natural gut instinct to just react.
Just think about it for a second. When someone comes at you with aggression, you feel that jolt of adrenaline, right? The immediate, almost automatic impulse is to push back, raise your own voice, and meet their force with equal or even greater force. It feels like you're taking control, but what you're actually doing is walking right into a trap.
Okay, so if pushing back is a trap, why do we fall for it almost every single time? To really get that, we need to look under the hood at the anatomy of the argument itself, and more importantly, what's actually going on inside our own minds.
And it all comes down to this key idea from Watts: tension. Now, according to him, tension isn't just about feeling stressed out. It's the specific energy you waste trying to control something you fundamentally cannot control, which is another person's emotions and their reactions. The moment you start trying to force them to calm down or to see your point of view, you've already started to lose.
So this really lays out the two paths you can take in that critical moment. On one side, you've got the instinctive reaction, getting louder, getting more defensive, getting more tangled up in the mess. And on the other side, you have the deliberate, strategic choice of non-reaction. One is a path to losing control, and the other is the path to mastering the entire situation. Because ultimately, when you yell back, you're just feeding the fire. You're giving the other person exactly what they expect, and you're letting their emotional state dictate yours. You're basically plugging yourself into their feedback loop of anger. And that's not an act of power. It's an act of complete surrender.
So if reacting is surrendering, what in the world is the winning move? This brings us to the absolute genius of the Alan Watts method. It's a total paradigm shift, where being calm isn't weakness. It's the ultimate strategic advantage.
Now, this is a really critical distinction. We're not talking about being passive or just letting someone walk all over you. Not at all. This is about an active, conscious choice. True calmness in this context is a deliberate social maneuver that is designed to completely change the dynamics of the entire interaction. The psychology behind this is just fascinating. Your calmness works like a mirror. So instead of absorbing the other person's angry energy, you just remain still. And your silence reflects their own chaotic behavior right back at them. See, they expect a fight, but instead they're met with this clear, calm reflection of their own outburst. That's what's so unnerving, what's so terrifying. It forces them to confront themselves, and most people are not ready for that.
Okay, that all sounds great in theory, but how do you actually do this when your blood is boiling? Let's get really practical and break down the single most effective tool you can use: mastering the uncomfortable pause.
And here it is, the uncomfortable pause. Its entire job is to create a space between the other person's action and your reaction. It's in that little space that you seize back control and you break that automatic feedback loop that we were just talking about.
And here's exactly how you can do it, broken down into 4 simple steps. First, just notice the feeling, that internal surge that's telling you to lash out. Second, take one single deliberate breath. This actually short-circuits your body's physical stress response. Third, create that pause. Just hold the silence for a second longer than feels comfortable. And finally, from that new place of clarity, you can respond thoughtfully instead of just reacting emotionally. So when you actually start to practice this, you'll realize you've unlocked something incredibly potent. And this brings us to the ultimate takeaway from this whole philosophy. Silence isn't empty space. It's absolutely full of power. So forget shouting, forget needing to have the last word. The most dominant, the most assertive, and yeah, frankly, the most aggressive thing you can do in a heated moment is to remain absolutely, unshakably calm.
And this matters because it completely reframes our entire definition of what power is. True power isn't about bending other people to your will. It's about achieving total mastery over your own impulses. When you can control your own non-reaction, you become unflappable. You control the situation because you control yourself. So I'll leave you with this thought. Just look ahead at your week. Think about the difficult conversations you might have, maybe at work, maybe at home, and just ask yourself, what conversations could you completely transform? What arguments could you actually win simply by choosing to say less?